Thanks everyone for coming in. We're just getting started over here, so we'll just give it another minute or so, and we'll get started. We just have our attendees joining in. Fantastic. So I see quite a few of us have already started. So welcome everyone. Today we have guests joining us from the US, from Canada, from Spain, as well as New Zealand. So welcome everybody from your different time zones. My name is Jayesh. I'm one of the co-founders of the business. And today, at this session, I'm going to take you through a bit of an overview about our business. And you're going to hear from quite a few people in our leadership team as well. So we'll get straight into it today. And I'd like to talk to you about what we do as a business. So when we look at it as a business, we help other organizations increase profitability, and we do this by optimizing their processes, implementing automation, as well as implementing outsourcing. So these are this is our key and primary focus. Now, as we move on to the next slide, you can sort of see the four pillars or the key services that we take to market. The first one being our process consulting. So with process consulting, we go to a business, we try and understand the current pain points, the current process. We offer them an operational analysis where we can identify the gaps, and we provide them with recommendations and a to-be process. With our digital transformation, it's all about implementing automation. It's about implementing robotic process automation and artificial intelligence. So we look at a business process, we see if there is things that are repetitive, that are manual in nature, and we look at enhancing the entire customer experience journey and adding efficiencies along the way as well. When we talk about outsourcing, it's all about providing staffware for positions that we cannot automate. So that's really where the outsourced staffing come in. We have different service delivery centers out of India, Malaysia, Trinidad and Tobago, and we're looking at a delivery center in East Europe as well. And learning is a new service that we launched earlier this year. And with learning, it's all about having a learning platform where we sort of identify there's lots of gaps in the market. And we have specific courses designed around digital transformation and so on as well. So this is where we can educate our clients, but then also take them through with implementation. So Mena, if you can move on to the next slide, please. Yeah, so just in terms of the company history, we started off in 2014 as a business. We started off in Brisbane. We soon incorporated our business in the UK, and we expanded to the UK. As soon as we opened a business in 2014, we also secured our very first multinational client, which was Aon Hewitt, a global insurance company. And today we work with some of the largest insurance companies as well. In 2016, we got a ISO certification from an information security standpoint, as well as quality management system. And we also opened a service delivery center in Malaysia. And this was to manage risk, but also taking advantage of different time zones. From there, we expanded our service offerings. We started initially as outsourcing, but we realized for outsourcing to be effective, it was important to have the right processes in place. And with that, in 2017, we launched our process consulting service and expanded into New Zealand as well at the same time. In 2018, we expanded into the US, and that's when we decided to launch a franchise model as well. So by this time, we'd sort of proven our business model worked globally in different markets. Clients across the globe had the same requirements, and the decision-making process was exactly the same as well. And we realized we could not be everywhere that our clients were, and we decided to create a franchise model wherein we could have franchise partners working on the ground with clients and building their own business as well. And this way it could help everyone scale up, and each franchise partner could have a very successful business as well. So we spent a lot of 2018 designing our franchise model, and we did a soft launch in 2019, having our first franchise in the US as well as in Australia. We incorporated in Canada the same year. And last year we launched a digital transformation service. And we also started our operations in Europe. So with that, that's a little bit about the company history. And Amanda, if you move on, please. And with this, I'd like to introduce you to Richard Nohe, who's one of our managing directors based out of Dallas. And Richard's going to talk about the culture and the business plan in general. On to you, Richard.
Yeah, thank you, Jayesh. That was a really helpful overview. So what I want to talk about a bit is the culture, but also the importance of planning. Planning is essential to our culture and essential to the culture of any business. I'm going to go over 3 slides, and you can go ahead and go to the first one. And really the first one's about you and your core values. The second, I'll be talking about a launch pad, and then the third one I'm going to be addressing Valenta. So you can see that we really want to understand your own core values. So you will have received this 3-page document from your managing director. And if you haven't, you will be soon, and we'll certainly get it to you. So think about what your core focus areas are and what it is that you want to represent. Think also about your future vision. Where do you want to be in 10 years from now? And that's a long way out, but it's important to set that stage so that you can see the roadmap and see your glide path into that. And then you need to start thinking about how you're going to get there. And if you go to the next slide, we really want to focus on 1 year out, 90-day plan, and then what are going to be the key issues that you have to address in order to hit those targets. So what we do in the first process of the onboarding, we really spend 30 days honing this plan. So we don't expect you to have this fully formed from day one, but you really need to start thinking about it. If you go to the next slide, you can really start to see what this is really about Valenta and what our culture is. You know, we want to make sure that we focus on profitable growth, that we focus on evolving our systems, because we're technology agnostic and vendor agnostic and industry agnostic. So we have to be able to evolve, and that has to be core to our values and how we will continue to grow the brand. We also want to make sure that we treat each other with respect. This is sort of a golden rule, and we want people who you know, share that as a core value. And then you're really going to get into what the expectations are, not only of you know, Valenta to the franchisees, but also, even more importantly, the franchisees to Valenta. And we want to make sure that we really understand that, and we really you know, are on lockstep with regard to that. And then we want you to sort of step back and think, what is the brand that you're going to have 5 years out? And that will give you that milestone, that thing that you can set your sights on to really achieve that and launch successfully. With that, I'm going to turn it over to Howard Barouxis, who is another managing director here in the US. Howard?
Thank you, Richard. Thanks for that introduction and the overview of the business plan. And thanks to the attendees also for joining today and spending some time to learn more about Valenta. My name is Howard Barouxis. I'm a managing director, like Richard said, in the Southeast. I actually went through this process of looking at franchises not too long ago, and I really enjoyed the Valenta Discovery Day. I liked it because it gave me a chance to really meet with the department heads at Valenta and allowed me to really visualize what it would be like to be part of Valenta. You could go to the next slide. If you're thinking about joining Valenta, you're going to ask yourself, how will I achieve my income goals? And you know, you're also going to ask yourself, if you just listen to Richard's presentation, how am I going to execute on that business plan? We believe in planning and preparation, and we've got revenue calculators that you'll be able to use to kind of plan backwards from your big goals, what you want to achieve in your business. And you'll be able to think about what kind of clients you need, the timing of securing your clients, the mix of the services that you want to add. And again, at Valenta, you're going to have those 4 key services: consulting, digital transformation, outsourcing, and by the end of the year, learning. Go to the next slide, please. I'm going to take a look at our consulting offer for a moment. And consulting is very important for us at Valenta because it usually uncovers opportunities for our other services. This slide and the next slide are going to talk about how we position our consulting services. And the 2 key takeaways we usually try to get people to think about the most when we talk about our consulting services is A, that we're efficiency experts with tons of global business process experience, and also B, that we can provide a seamless integration for any kind of business application. Next slide, please. These are some more talking points that we try to use to position the different types of consulting offers that we have. And these are all just a fraction of some of the consulting offers you'll be able to offer to some of your clients. Now, I'd like you to think that and know that behind every one of these statements, we have a variety of presentations, proposals, statements of work, and not to mention the experience to really successfully deliver on all of these engagements. And we've got similar documentation and processes to deliver on outsourcing and digital transformation projects too. Next slide, please. You know, so another key to success when it comes to sales planning and business development is targeting. And it's a big world out there, and it's a really bad idea to boil the ocean. So we like to have our partners think about 2 to 3 specific market verticals that they can focus on. And we would really encourage you to really become a domain expert in those couple of verticals to really brand yourself, niche yourself, and achieve success. Now, let's also not forget that sales and business development is a numbers game. And we're going to work with you to really maximize the number of inbound leads that you can get so you can talk to warm leads and people that want to talk to you. But our managing partners really need to stay close to the key decision makers within their client accounts, as well as develop center of influence networks to bring in more lead referrals, because that's really the best source of referrals. If we could go to the next slide, and I think this is my final slide. Yes, you are going to have a lot of resources in order to help you win business. Now, everybody at Valenta is really aligned for the success of our managing partners. The entire organization from top to bottom is vested in your success. Again, plenty of tools from the consulting business. One great tool is the ability to offer free operational analysis to prospective clients. Additionally, illustrated on this slide, all of our managing partners are going to have their own personal website landing page. And that landing page is going to be customized to that partner, as well as the domains that they're specializing on. And our marketing team, they're going to be able to help you create lead magnets in order to generate more leads in the form of presentations, white papers, solution briefs, and even webinars. And suffice it to say, if we don't have a tool created already, and we've got a ton, and Amanda will tell you about those, we'll make one for you. And that is an excellent segue into our next speaker, Amanda Sadowski, who is our head of marketing in North America. Amanda, if you could take it from here.
Hello, everyone. Thank you so much for joining us today. It's my absolute pleasure to be here with you to discuss a brief overview of our marketing services that we do offer to all of our franchise partners and managing directors that have come on board with Valenta. With that being said, I will lead into our marketing support services. So our team is very robust and very experienced in the sense of having multiple specialists that will be onboarded to help you with whatever services you require. We have a full suite of services, including brochures, white papers, ebooks, and other services and documents that will help you in your journey and onboarding here at Valenta. For example, we do have a partnership with Elucid Press, and we will also be able to show you and train you on all of these services that we provide you, and to be able to use that to your advantage when speaking with clients. We also support you on all services in regarding to Google AdWords campaigns and Facebook campaigns and other LinkedIn marketing campaigns that we will be able to set up for you and strategize with you and ensure that it is performing and optimized to your advantage. So with that being said, we will be able to showcase these different services to you and train you on all execution of these different types of campaigns and be able to monitor them on a daily and weekly basis. We also, as Howard mentioned, develop customized landing pages to which are very tailored to what your industry focus is on. So for example, if you're looking at accounting or the automotive industry or outsourcing, we tailor these landing pages for you so that you are able to use them for all of your campaigns and other digital marketing initiatives as you're moving forward. Another example is LinkedIn advertising. So we help you and support you better in terms of the in-mail messaging, so inbound and outbound lead services and lead generation. So we're here to really support you from start to finish and to make sure that you have everything available at your fingertips. Another example of some of the support that we give you is content and images, infographics from a partnership that we have with Statista. So this is really helpful in the sense of developing a lot of content that you can utilize to your advantage on your LinkedIn profiles and potentially uploading onto your business pages as well. These are updated weekly and you will have access to all of this information. Another example, which potentially might happen in the future, obviously because of the pandemic, we have not had a lot of trade shows and conferences within the last year, but we hope that that changes within the next couple of months. So we're able to help promote and support you on all fronts. So this means promoting all of these different types of conferences and supporting you in each of these developments as well. Finally, I'll just speak of our live webinars. So we offer virtual launch promotions, and we support you in developing these and the content for all of these webinars as well. So promoting them, maintaining the graphic material and other services to ensure that you have enough guests and promotion of that material as well. So this is just an example of Managing Director Alan Peck, who had his launch webinar on in January, which was a great success. And with that being said, I will turn it over to Advaith Pai, our head of RPA and AI. Thank you. Advaith, I'll turn it over to you.
Yep, thanks, Amanda. Yep. So so I've been with Valenta since 2015, and I'm based out of Bangalore and currently head the RPA and AI vertical. Next slide, please. Yep, perfect. So let's look at a few quick facts regarding RPA, right? So for every dollar spent on an RPA solution, $3.41 was spent on the service to make it work. So that's the effective benefit of actually implementing an RPA. So you don't just get a cost benefit, which is one, you also get an additional benefit, which is time saving, which can be used for other activities as well using the RPA solution. Now, most of them believe that, RPA solution is something which is more of a rule-based, but moving forward, in the last few months, we've also implemented the RPA technology for businesses which are more judgment-based. So whatever solution we're applying in RPA, the technology only comprises of only 23% of the cost, which could be the bot cost, the licensing fees, the hosting fees, etc. But the additional services which require, basically 77% of the cost include basically the strategy development, ensuring the process is streamlined, optimized, etc., standardized. So that is basically the managed service portion of the offering that we come up with. So this is basically the cost breakup. So yeah, Amanda, next slide, please. So successful scaling and achieving results when it comes to AI or RPA, sound implementation is very important. Now, most of them promise that, okay, look, we have 94% success rate, etc., and believe AI can offer a competitive advantage. But a lot of RPA projects fail primarily due to rushing into the implementation and not underlying, or rather, let me put it this way, by not setting up a good firm base of ensuring the processes are streamlined, processes are standardized, etc. And that's where we work closely with our other team, which is the process consulting team, to ensure that a lot of processes are standardized, and then we apply the RPA solution, which basically improves the overall efficiency of the process and gives you the desired results. Now, we also seen that some of the businesses, like let me take the example of the accounting process. A lot of the accounting processes use Xero and use Dext as their OCR, or the data extraction tool, and they believe that they have actually implemented 62% level of AI strategy or implementation. But in reality, the buck doesn't stop there. There is a lot of things that we can do right now. So when I spoke a little about judgment-based automation, that is basically the accounting process, which is currently that we've automated. So yeah, so these are some of the quick facts. And next slide, please, Amanda. So in a nutshell, when you talk about automation, there are basically three processes. We have the robotic process automation. We have the AI data extraction, which is basically the cognitive AI, which is able to understand, comprehend, recognize fields, even though the layouts are changing. So, the entire concept of data extraction is moved away from traditional, OCR into ICR at this point in time. And then there's the conversational AI. So with conversational AI as well, you think of the possibilities wherein, a individual working for a company can just dial a number and speak to the bot and get details of, say, his pay slips, his leave details, etc. Or a vendor calling in to get his check the status of his supplies, etc. So anything is possible with conversational AI. So with this, Amanda, next slide, please. I pass on to Ash. Thank you.
Thank you, Advaith. Hi, everyone. It's great to connect with you today. I'm part of the consulting team, and today I'm here to kind of take you through one of the consulting engagements that we've done for one of our clients based in Toronto. Amanda, can we move to the first slide, please? So here we were working with an organization based out in Canada, and that was operating in the financial services domain. And what they primarily did was provide lending services to their subprime customers. So it was basically a lending platform, and it helped Canadian individuals who are in debt kind of pay back their due bills. These were obviously individuals who did not help, the banks did not help them with. So they had actually adopted Salesforce as their ERP to proceed in order to move with their loan management process. And while they did adopt Salesforce, they invited us to conduct a robust training program for them in order to help all their employees orient themselves very well with the application. So the idea was not just an understanding of Salesforce. The idea was to also provide training that oriented the employees well. So the objective was to just conduct a series of training programs for different user groups who would then be very well versed with the system and would be able to adopt to it. Side by side, there was also an additional objective to kind of see if the organization had adopted Salesforce in the maximum capacity that's possible. So with regard to the training, we also identified the focus areas. We had to define training outcomes, learning outcomes that came out of this, and then chalk out an implementation program that would work for this organization. The training content and development, which was entirely custom made for the client, of course, made that difference, with not just pointed out the Salesforce interface, but also kind of highlighted the business process that would be followed for each of the user groups to kind of handle their functions efficiently. Next slide, please. So this was one of our broad approaches that we used for this particular client. For each of our engagements, our customized approach always has helped us kind of garner maximum effectiveness. So we started with user group categorizations, where we defined the user groups. We developed the training outline, by which I mean the design, the objective, and the core outcomes of each of the modules that we were training the participants in. We then conducted a process walkthrough to kind of understand what the business really wants to achieve out of this process, and then thereby correlating that to Salesforce. This, I truly believe, has been one of the USPs that we have offered, whereby we've always tried to provide a holistic view of things in addition to what this core emphasis is. Once the process walkthrough is completed, we also then have a fairer idea of what the key stakeholders are and what they each need to receive in their training program. We then proceeded with the content development, kind of building specific references and customized training material for each of these user groups. And then once that content baseline was created, we kind of translated that into different tools and aids that would help the participants as they were attending the training. Finally, prepping for the training, which involved the schedule, working with the organization to kind of understand all the different tools and aids for facilitation of this. And then finally, we came to the training delivery, which was done offline, and the recordings were provided to the client for future reference. The process walkthrough stage, it was important for us to make note of a lot of enhancements and automations that could possibly be added to the Salesforce application that would provide further value to the client. And that was proposed as an additional engagement after these training sessions were complete. We completed this engagement with gathering training feedback and also then revising content and delivery formats based on a few tweaks that were then necessary. Next slide, please. So at a broad level, just outlining our deliverables for the engagement, defining the user groups, training program objectives, overall design and training outcomes in line with the management. The overall workflow mapping, as you can see, a process workflow has been shown there as a sample illustrative, right? This kind of gives people not just an understanding of the system, which is a very myopic view, but rather gives them a very holistic view of how things are supposed to work, how things add up in totality to the business. Then there is, of course, defining the training deck and training handouts for all user groups. Those are our tools and aids that we kind of use to facilitate an effective training. And you can see below there are handout references that we were provided. These were provided to all the participants, of course, which had detailed explanations on how they were to navigate through the Salesforce application. There were a few exercises and practice sessions that were mapped out for them as well. And finally, of course, the online delivery of the training, which would be used as recordings. And what resulted out of this engagement was that we actually won an additional engagement with the client. Amanda, if you could just move to the next slide, please. So as additional outcomes of this engagement, they approached us to assist them with phase 2 of the operation, which included further automation in Salesforce. And also this training kind of built a ground for us to kind of take this forth to other organizations with the intent to reduce delivery time and adhere to their quality standards, but kind of retaining the essence and the format of what we've done here. With that, I'd like to pass on to my colleague, Sanchita. Thank you.
Hi, everyone. My name is Sanchita Agarwal, and I'm the head of service delivery at Valenta BPO. I'm very excited to be speaking with you today. I have been with the organization since July 2018. I have extensive experience in accounting and taxation, and I've been in my current role since late 2019. I'm based out of Johannesburg, South Africa. Amanda, could we please go to the next slide? Thank you. So at Valenta BPO, we cater to different business requirements through our operations teams, which are based out of 3 main locations. Our biggest center being in India. We also have a center in Malaysia and in Trinidad and Tobago to ensure that we're covering as many time zones as possible. And this is important because one of the key components of my role is to ensure that we're mapping the right resources based on every client's specific requirement. And the way that we do that is by first understanding the client requirements as best as we possibly can, and then making sure that we're bringing in the right talent by continuous recruitment on a firm-wide level, by liaising with our department heads, with our senior team managers, and just making sure that every resource being onboarded is the right fit for that client, and we understand everyone's skill set as best as possible. Next slide, please. When a client is onboarded, we also provide them with customized templates of their new resource to be able to highlight their key skill set, their educational background, what are their technical skills, their work experiences, and how this person will then be an integral part of their team going forward. Next slide, please. Right, so as I was saying, once a client is onboarded, obviously every single client has their own preference in terms of how they want to track their work, how they stay on top of their workflows. But internally at Valenta, we use Smartsheets across all our clients, across all our service processes, just to make sure that we're staying on top of daily tasks and workflows, to make sure that there is close monitoring of all the activities. And our obviously the heavy lifting here is done by our team managers who stay on top of this to ensure that all the client work is always processed and we are never missing a deadline. Next slide, please. Speaking about Smartsheets, obviously one of the best benefits I would say of Smartsheet is that it allows us to create highly customizable, interactive, creative, I would say, and always accurate in real-time dashboards, because the information on these dashboards is pulled from the Smartsheets, which are then, as I mentioned, updated on a daily basis by the resource for that particular client. So it's always accurate in real time, and it'll always show the client the right overview of their process. Next slide, please. At Valenta, it's not only important for us to bring in new clients, but also make sure that we are providing continuous value addition and support to our existing clients. With that in mind, we have 2 systems of feedback. One is a 30-day, 60-day, and 90-day progress check, which is done from these days after the onboarding. And this could be done by the team manager or the franchise partner, obviously based on their relationship. But on a firm-wide level, we launch 2 biannual comprehensive surveys across all of our clients to get our clients' perspective on our services. Next slide, please. Yes, to get their perspective on our services, on understanding how they perceive our resources, communication skills, their technical skills, how much they feel the resource is part of their team, and all the other important factors that bring an edge to our service. Next slide, please. With the aim of maintaining complete transparency, I also work with our franchise partners to ensure that our CRM is always updated and well maintained, because we have a centralized system of maintaining our client information, billing information, resource information, and very importantly, of course, our sales pipeline. And that's it from me. And I really do hope that I have now given you a brief overview of how we manage service delivery across different locations, different services, and are able to cater to a very broad potential of clients. With that, I will pass it over to Jayesh on behalf of my colleague, Nishal.
Thank you, Sanchita. And it's me, Jayesh, back again here. Nishal is based out of Malaysia, Kuala Lumpur, and she isn't joining us due to the current time at her location. We do have our centralized finance function operating out of Malaysia. So when it comes to client invoicing, client contracts, and so on as well, it's all handled out of our service delivery center out of Malaysia. And even so with that, all the payments and so on are taken care of from there as well. And our franchise partners payouts are also taken care out of our office in Malaysia, and Nishal oversees that operation. So with that, today I'd like to show you a couple of examples on what our invoices and so on look like. So when clients get into an agreement, they get into an agreement with a Valenta entity in their respective country. So if it's in the US, it would be with Valenta BPO LLC. If it's in Canada, it'd be with Valenta BPO Inc. and so on as well. When a client comes on board, we issue them, we track everything on the CRM, and automatically the invoices are issued to them. Now, invoices are usually issued on the 1st of every month for the month in advance for outsourcing services and also digital transformation services as well. And for consulting engagements, it really depends based on the milestones that have been agreed during the scoping exercise. If a client starts with us mid-month or throughout the month, we sort of prorata the invoice as well for them for that particular month. And in most cases, we have direct debit systems set up in place as well, as about 80% of our business is ongoing, and 20% is a one-time transaction. So here's a sample invoice that a client would receive directly from our system. And if you move on to the next slide, you can sort of see what RCTI, which is a Reciprocal Tax Invoice, looks like. And this is a statement that our managing partners receive at the end of each month. So this statement shows the amount that is being paid out for a particular month. And this is now, for example, this is in the month of November. This is a commission statement for November. So what it means is all the revenues that have been collected for clients for a particular managing partner between the 1st of November and the last day of November are sort of paid out in November. And this is a high-level summary. And the next slide sort of indicates an Excel sheet, which has a breakdown. So this would have the breakdown of the exact number of clients, the services, and so on. And with that, what we're achieving with this as well is sort of making it easy for our franchise partners, not having to worry about the actual billing, collections, and reconciliation of those transactions. It makes it nice and easy as long as everything is updated on the CRM. The invoice function takes place, and that same information is also used in paying out the commissions at the end of the month as well. So with that, I hope I've given you a bit of an overview on the commissions and the payment structure. With this, we're sort of coming to the end of our presentation as well. And, this is our current map. This changes every month. At this point in time, we're sort of adding anywhere between 2 and 4 franchise partners each month in the US, and we're sort of making our push into into Europe as well this year. We do have franchise partners, next week, starting with us in quite a few different countries, including who we have partners starting with us in US, in Romania, in Trinidad and Tobago next month, as well as in Australia. So pretty exciting time. And, you know, with this, we'd like to open it up for questions, right? Our entire leadership team, we're sort of here today in live. So if, you know, Amanda, have you had any questions come through that you'd like to pass on our way?
Hi, thanks, Jayesh. I'm not seeing any ones that have come through in the comment box, but feel free to go ahead and, you know, type in a question, or if you'd like to come on live and ask your question, that's totally possible as well. So I'll open the floor for that at the moment.
Great, thanks, thanks, Amanda.
Just give it a couple of minutes here.
So how from, you know, we host these sessions every 2 weeks, right? So can you think of some that we had at the last session that we could perhaps just, you know, bring up over here as well?
Yeah, definitely. So I think with some of the digital marketing questions that I've gotten in the past are in relation to, you know, the training and protocols that we follow in that order. So you're really getting a whole team in terms of, you know, the services that we can offer you. So you're getting, you know, the support from myself and from Jayesh, as well as the full service team that I mentioned in my presentation. So a lot of our specialists have, you know, close to, you know, 10 to 15 years of experience in search engine optimization, graphic design, and video editing. So these are really important components of, you know, the onboarding process and helping with your go-to-market strategy as well. So I think that, you know, with that being said, it's really important that you have this support in place, and, you know, from all of our team members here, especially that you feel that everything is being executed to your advantage, and be able to utilize all of our services that we can offer you. Got a question that's come in. Jayesh, would you mind answering a question from Alan Beal? He says, how many managing partners will you add per geography?
Okay, so it's a good question, and thanks for asking, Alan. The way we've defined our territories or geography is based on a ratio of 2,000 businesses. So that is 2,000 businesses that have over 10 employees, right? So that's how we look at a territory. That being said, for us, it's more about having quality rather than quantity. So the idea is to make sure we've got the right number of franchise partners in each location that can service the market as well. Now, the way we look at our business is, you know, about, as I said, because we've got the multiple services and so on as well. Once you start building client bases, you know, for our managing partners, you know, we don't expect, or you don't need to have or acquiring clients every single day. You know what I mean? It's about, if you start, you know, once you've got about the 10 to 20 clients that are using multiple services, you know what I mean, the revenues automatically start getting into the 6 figures. So it also depends on, you know, it's very important for us to also try and understand, you know, what it is that our managing partners, what it is that our franchise partners want to achieve in terms of their business growth objectives as well, right? You know, some of them will want to exceed, you know, and get into the 7 figures, while some may be very comfortable once they get into a certain range of revenue, right? So it really, so we, you know, as a leadership team, we sort of need to try and understand and make sure that our customers in that particular area are being serviced, and we're not leaving opportunity out there as well. So it is a collaborative approach as well. So I hope that answers your question.
Thanks, Jayesh. I'm going to ask Aish this question. It's a consulting question. So are we able to are we open to take Salesforce implementations from ground zero, or do we consult on this? This is from an anonymous attendee. So are we open to take Salesforce implementations from ground zero, or do we only use consulting on this, is the question.
Right. Thanks, Amanda. We actually do take up Salesforce consulting engagements right from scratch. So apart from the consulting team, there are a lot of technical teams out there who are part of Valenta as well. And for engagements such as these, we kind of coordinate with the, you know, the tech teams to kind of come forth, and then, you know, we combined together to kind of provide a holistic solution. So you will have developers who have had multiple years of experience in Salesforce, kind of helping you define the system, design it, kind of truly optimize it so that you can use it to its maximum potential. The consulting team will add in their value add from a process and a control and a risk point of view. So together you will get an operational framework that's pretty robust and effective in the way that it functions and customized for your organization. I hope I've answered your question.
You know, I might add that it's also an opportunity for an outsourcing person, and, you know, Salesforce administrators is definitely part of what we offer, and that could be an extension of that project as well.
Thanks,
Absolutely.
Howard. I have a question from Rasha. I believe either Howard or Richard can answer this one. What is the ultimate role of a franchise owner, and what are authorities given to each of the franchise partners?
Well,
If Howard, you want to, or yeah, Richard, please.
And you can weigh in. The role of the franchise owner is to own a business and really be able to deliver value to your customers. And I define value as the ability to sustain profitable growth. And so what you do is you work with your customers on solutions to their problems, and you dip into your tool bag in order to find those solutions, which are really what Valenta provides through its delivery mechanisms. And so it's being that front end, helping business owners and their CFOs and their technical teams become more efficient and finding managed solutions to create that efficiency. Anything to add, Howard?
Yeah, I mean, you know, when I hear like what authority is given to franchise partners, I mean, you're a business owner. You're running a business. You are a consulting entity, and Valenta is here to help you sell the services and then to fulfill the services as well. So, I mean, it's a partnership. That's why you're a managing partner.
Thanks, Howard, and thanks, Richard. I believe I missed a question. I have one from Andrew Voice. I believe, Jayesh, you might need to answer this one. I'm curious to know how many clients are currently in long-term contracts with Valenta, and what has the success rate been in contract renewals? Thank you.
Yeah, sure. So Andrew, Alan, thanks, Andrew, thanks for that question. So, we actually have clients with us from, back from 2014 that are still our existing clients as well, right? So especially for our outsourcing and our automation, there is no end date. We sort of keep our contracts on an ongoing term, right? With certain large organizations, we do have renewal terms of 3 years and 5 years, which we renew. And it's very, when you come to think about automation or outsourcing as well, these services are very sticky, right? Once a client starts using them, unless there is a massive change in the organization, or it's not something that they would like to easily replace or change. We've been through certain organizations where they've actually had transactions M&A take place as well. Usually that ends up with us putting on more solutions for them as well. And what I'd like to add as well over there is, if once we start coupling our services, so you've got automation, you've got outsourcing, and you've got consulting, when we have all these engagements going on as well, we sort of truly become partners for our clients as well. And we'd like to understand what it is that they're trying to achieve in their business and what their goals are. And if we can sort of work with their management and their leadership teams as well in helping them achieve their goals, it becomes a true long-term partnership. Consulting is the only one where we do have, it is on a contract by contract basis. And as Ash mentioned earlier in the presentation, we see that, when we finish one consulting engagement, there's usually phase 2 that's being scoped out. And I believe with some clients, we've gone up to phase 5 as well, right? So in a way, consulting also seems to be an ongoing trend as well. So we're pretty excited about that.
Thanks, Jayesh. I have a question for Ash from Alan Beal. If customers have other integrations that they use, example with Zoho, how would you handle that?
Yeah. Hi, Alan. So we generally try to maintain that we are system agnostic because we feel like technology is just an enabler. But we do have different teams that kind of support us on a tech front. So Salesforce was just one of the examples that I quoted in the engagement that we did before. Zoho is also seems to be quite a popular choice amongst a lot of organizations. So we do have an an in-house team that actually takes care of this as well. So depending on the system, we would actually bring on board the appropriate technical resource who is going to provide us the expertise that is required to execute that particular engagement.
Thanks, Ash. I have a question from Ken, and this one goes to Advaith. On your robotic automation, are you subcontracting the implementations or on these, or does Valenta have resources in-house?
Thanks for the question, Ken. So we do have resources in-house. So like Ash and like Howard mentioned previously, we are a technology agnostic company. So we have RPA developers who are well versed on UiPath, on Automation Anywhere, on companies which are startups like Electronique as well. So yeah, we have resources who are working with us, and we have our technology vendors who work with us on other technologies. So yeah, hope that answers your question.
Thanks, Advaith. I think I have another question that was from Alan as well. When you attend trade shows, do the managing partners find it useful to exhibit to the exhibits, or do they just walk to the floor and make appointments? Richard or Howard or Jayesh, would you mind?
I can take this one.
Okay, go ahead, Jayesh.
Yeah, sorry, I'll pass it back to you, Richard. So, with trade shows, we've been doing trade shows, since back from 2015, 2016, right? And we usually sponsor, so we usually have an exhibit, we usually have a spot, we usually have a stand, and we also, where possible, we also have speaking opportunities as well, right? And some of the speaking opportunities, we may have our clients join us as well in those speaking engagements. And we do not expect our managing partners to walk the floor and set appointments. And in that regard, it's usually where we have a stand and we have people that come in and we engage with them in that regard. And we've had situations where a few managing partners have gotten together to participate in a particular trade show, and they sort of work together on some clients as well, right? So that's an opportunity as well that does take place. Richard, would you like to add to this?
No, you covered it in that second point. I would say that, one of the things that we're doing is in the US, as we enter the market more broadly, we're looking at how do we coordinate with particular customer verticals, whether it's an industry or a profession. For example, looking at what CFO conferences are really attractive for us to attend. And then some of the managing partners can get together and decide, is this something that's relevant to my business, and do I want to participate in that? But they're a good source for leads and a good way to build relationships. And there's a lot of flexibility in how you can participate in that.
Howard, do you have anything to add?
No, I think Jayesh and Richard handled it well in terms of like how we go about exhibiting. For myself, I probably will continue to attend some of the trade shows of the markets that I've come out of like the last 30 years and, walk those shows and, get some leads from that. And I happen to live in Miami and there are trade shows that come here. I might walk a trade show or two for that. But in general, the way we respond to trade shows is a collaborative effort in terms of the exhibition, and the other guys cover it.
Great. Thank you, Howard. I have another question from Alan. I believe Ash or Jayesh might have to answer this one again. What is the position of the company with Zapier? So the application.
Look, Zapier is just one integration tool out there, right? So where we need to use it, we'll use it, but where we don't, we don't. So it's just an integration tool, right? It's not something we heavily rely on and so on as well. So for us, it's more about the underlying systems, the underlying process, make sure we have that in place, right? And it's all about automation. So all that Zapier does is pretty much, some very basic workflows to and fro systems and so on, but there's no element of true automation in there, right? And that's where we sort of bring in all that expertise and all the tech stack in there as well.
Thanks, Jayesh. If you'd like to ask any more questions, please feel free to do so. I believe that has answered everyone's that have come in so far. So I'll just give it another couple of seconds here and we'll kind of go from there.
Great. Thanks, everyone, for engaging and asking those questions. Really appreciate it. And thanks for taking the time to spend it with us as well. So we really appreciate it. If you do have any further questions, I'm sure your managing directors will be in touch with you to have a chat further. Thank you and enjoy your morning, evening, and afternoon.